Penny for your thoughts.
I hate Brenda, and a bad guy hit me in the shin, and I peed all in my pants.
little music can't help. Rockin', rockin' and rollin'. Down to the beach I'm strolling. But the seagulls poke at my head, not fun. I said, seagulls, stop it now. Everyone told me not to stroll on that beach. Said seagulls gonna come, hook me in the coconut, and they did, and they did, had me going like, nothing I could do but yell when these birds attacked me. When I tried to run, I fell, and then these kids started laughing, and then got hit in the neck with a hacky sack. Where'd it come from? Now run, 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 jump. I can be a backpack while you run, 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 jump, and stop. Put me down. I love to groove and boogie. Yeah.
Great.
Show you some dance moves.
No, I don't want you to.
If I had your giant feet out there on the beach, could have outrun those birds.
You're a psycho wiener.
Let me grab my beater.
Stop it, please. Don't hit me. Please. Don't hit me.
Come on, man, quit that banging.
Hey, what's that stank?
You put a fish in our basket.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I did that.
You owe me an apology.
Just hold your breath and see when the time is right. Birds will back your face. Now run, 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 jump. I can be your backpack while you run. Swing from a hairy vine. I can be your backpack while you climb. Stand on one hand and lift rocks with your special gift. Run, 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 jump. Now breathe. That's good. Like that. Like that. One day I was walking and I found this big log. Then I rolled the log over. Underneath was a tiny little stick. And I was like, that log had a child. Listen, boy, someday when you are older, you could get hit by a boulder. While you're lying there screaming, come help me, please. The seagulls poke your knees. Stop it now.
Yeah, whatever. You're sort of pitchy.
Didn't like it?
Listen, man.
I'm not your friend. Don't fall asleep.
Stop it now.
Hey everybody! Just forgive our self-indulgence there, but had to play that. I know a couple of people, particularly some people that are watching, have had a pretty bad day, so I just thought that would cheer up. That's my cheer-up song. If I'm having a bad day at home or at work, I stick on Seagulls and I have a great time, and I cheer up within seconds. And I've even got, there we go, I've even got the T-shirt that, so cheer up, love a bit of Seagulls. How you doing, Ben? All right? You are live. Ben, you're not going to talk.
Sorry, I seem to be cutting out here.
Oh, don't do that to me. That's weird. So, welcome everyone.
My connection's dropping. Hang on.
Oh, it's like that, is it? Eh? He's on the wind up this afternoon. Right. First one we've done live, just the two of us actually, because we've always just done live when we've had a guest on. But we enjoyed ourselves so much last week with Rachel on talking about expeditions and tour creator. We decided to do it again this week, and we're going to be doing some sightseeing. because we're going to be having a look at Google Sites. So if you're first timers, welcome. I know there's a few first timers on the call. Just give us a shout out in the comments. Let us know where you're from as well. It's always good to see where people are joining us from, and we'll make a start. Let me just share my screen. There we go. Right. Okay. So first of all, before anything else, one of the things that I think it's important to say is that the reason I wanted to go through Google Sites this evening is because it's not just about building a website. And there's so many different uses you can have for Google Sites. I think it's important that people appreciate that it's more than just a website platform. So there's lots of different things you can do with it. We're just going to go through how you can build your Google Sites and then various bits and pieces on how you can then go about using that within your classroom as well. Okay? Brilliant. And Ben's going to chime in with questions as we go along. Hopefully everyone can now see my screen. And yep, Ben's dropped out. Let's put him back in again. There you go, Ben. You're back. You're back. There we go. Okay, so first of all, a couple of things to bear in mind when you're dealing with Google Sites is if you're going through your waffle on the right-hand side over here, and you click there, and you come down, you might see sites there or you might not, depending on whether you've used it before. If it's not showing automatically, you might have to scroll down and find it, but mine's here, and I'm going to click on it, and what you'll notice is it takes me to the old classic sites page. Okay, so this is worth bearing in mind, because if you're doing this for the first time, new Google Sites came in probably nearly 2 years ago now, might be even longer than that. And if you're not aware of it, your first instinct when you get to this page is to go over here and click create, because that's what we're always used to doing. But what you'll notice is that down the bottom here, you've got new Google Sites. And for some reason at the moment, the shortcut from the waffle still goes to classic sites. So if you do come in that way, do go to new Google Sites and go in that way, okay? Which will take us to this page, which is much more familiar with what we're used to, okay? However, you can also do the fantastic thing of just doing sites.new and using the keyboard shortcut, the Omnibox shortcut, and that in itself will take you into a brand new Google site. Okay, so if you do go in the other way through the waffle, it takes you to the template page, and there are templates now. Up until about 6 weeks ago, there were no such thing as templates for Google Sites. But now there are. So you can see in the template gallery here, you've got options for website templates for a class, for an extracurricular club, for personal things like portfolios, or if you're running your own restaurant, and also for events, help centers, projects, teams, if you're running a sports club or whatever it might be. So we've now got templates within there, or you can just click blank, which takes you to exactly the same as this page here. Okay. So here we've got a Google site, which is completely blank, and we're just going to have a quick look around it. Okay, so the top here, we've got the title of our site, and then along the top of the bar here, we've got the update that tells us where things are charged and saved. We've got the undo and the redo buttons. We've got a preview button that allows us to see what the website's going to look like on different sorts of devices. We've got the publish site link once we've published. We've got the option to share it with others and have other people collaborate on our website. We've got our settings, cog, we've got our traffic light or 3 dots for those people where we can get help and we can take a tour if we're not sure. And then we've got a publish button once we've actually done something with it. And then over here on the right, we've got the option to insert things, we've got pages, and we've got themes, okay? So the first thing we're gonna do is give our website a title. So I'm going to call it Shock Horror, short and sweet. Okay, I know you weren't expecting that, but that's where it's coming from. Okay, and you'll notice that it now appears in the top left hand corner here as well. So that's now named our site. And if I want to, I can add a logo here. So I can click, and we've got these options. So we've got our navigation options first of all, which allows us to decide whether we want our navigation along the top or down the side. So if you go for side navigation, you have a choice of different colors, white, black, or transparent. So if I choose black for the moment, Cool. And go side navigation. At the moment, there's only one thing there. It's not a problem. And top navigation will bring everything along the top. As we add more things in, that will change. We change the color to white. You'll see the top bar changes there. Okay. We've then got brand images, so we can select or we can upload a logo if we'd like. So I can do a search in here for sort of short and sweet, for example. And then there we go. There's a logo for us that we can use. So I'm just going to ping that in. And it will load up. There we go. It pops it in as a logo. It also then gives you the option to select a color from your logo to use for your theme. So I'm going to go with the blue. And you've got all your different template themes here. And I'm going to stick with simple and use the blue. And the font style, I can change between light, classic, and heavy. So I'm going to go with light just because I think that looks quite business-like. Again, so we've created a logo now. I can come back in and I can edit that at any point. But what I can also do is add a favicon. And if you're not used to this, really useful. The favicon are these things that you can see at the top of the screen here, that when you set a bookmark and delete the words from it, just leaves the image. So if I upload, again, I'll do the same thing again. So just a quick, short and sweet. Get that same logo in there. That becomes our favicon for our website if we bookmark it and delete the wording. So we're just left with the small icon. Okay. Just wait for that to upload. Any questions so far? I know Cora the Corgi's interested in things, but
Yeah, Cora the Corgi's asking what an Omnibox is.
Yeah.
So an Omnibox effectively is just a web address bar at the top. So you can search in your sites.new, docs.new, etc. Effectively, like I suppose it is sort of like a mini Google, isn't it? So
yeah, exactly. I mean, some people will call it the search bar, you know, but it's called an Omnibox because it does so many things. It's amazing. It's not just a search bar. You know, if you want it to flip a coin for you, it will do it. If you wanted to ask it a question, it'll answer it. So, you know, omnipotent is, I think, probably where it comes from. So I've now got my favicon loaded. So that's all done. We've also got viewers tools. So we have the choice of showing when our page was last updated so that people can see whether our website is up to date or not, which I really like. And you can also show a contact form if you'd want to as well, rather than having to, what you used to have to do, create a contact form for yourself and add it in. Now you can have it embedded within the site. You can link it up to Google Analytics to get those tracking IDs and things like that, so you can see who's accessing your site. And now you can also have announcement banners, and these are really great to draw attention to your viewers really easily. Whether that's public to the web or whether that's just to your class, it's really useful. So for example, if I was using this with a class, I can choose to show the banner. I can choose a banner color, so I could have it contrasting the colors we've already got. I can have a message in there, which might be something like new content. And I can have a button label, which might be something like click here. And then I can add in a hyperlink to anything I like. It could be a YouTube video. So I could just jump to YouTube. I could find a video that I want people to be aware of. Let's just grab one of mine. So this is one of my videos from earlier. I'm just going to grab the sharing link for that. Close it. And then I can pop that in there as a hyperlink. I can choose to have it open in a new tab so they don't end up going away from my site. And I can choose whether I want that on the home page only or on all pages. Okay, so I'm going to keep it on all pages, and we can see immediately we get that notification bar at the top there, new content. And if I click here, it gives us this redirect. And away we go, we've got to that content straight away. So it's really handy and really quick to change because you can change that at any particular time. Okay, so the banner is really good, particularly as a couple of people have just done. If you've recently changed your Twitter handle, for example, I know Rachel's recently done that and decided she no longer needs an underscore. So you can change it, let people know really easily of any updates that are coming up. Okay. But we obviously want to make our page a little bit more engaging. So what we also want to do is change our image. And we've got a choice of selecting or uploading. So just like with Informs and everything else, you've got themes and things that are already in here. So you can choose from any of those, or you can choose by URL, or you can search, or you can use your own albums or Google Drive. So I could go into Google Drive and just look for Short and Sweet, for example, and see what pops up. And actually nothing, because I haven't named anything now, I don't think. So I have a quick look. Okay, yeah, so let's use this one. We'll drop that one in there. And Google Sites will automatically start to adjust your images to give you the optimum reading options. But because I've got white text here, I probably don't want that header there, and I don't have to have it. I can get rid of it, or I can minimize it, or I can move it wherever I like. So if I wanted to, I could make it smaller text. I could move it to a different part of the page if I wanted to, or I can just get rid of it altogether. So it's entirely up to me. You know, I can pop it over here, or I can just get rid of that and say, I don't want that bit, because it's obvious what this page is about. So we've now got a theme to our page, and we want to add some content. And this is where it gets really, really, really simple, okay? Because, and this is what I love about this, when I'm dealing with this with students, they say, I want to put something on the page. And I'll say, go on then. And they say, well, how do I do it? And I say, well, how would you put the stuff on the page? And you click. And it's as simple as that. Anywhere on the page, just double click and you get the little wheel turn up, your little picker there, which is basically a shortcut to the insert page here. So anywhere you click, you can add in text like that. You can add in images from Google image searches or Drive or by URL. You can add in uploaded images from your own device. You can add in documents straight from Drive embedded, and you can also hyperlink as well or embed items. So here we might put, for example, welcome to Short and Sweet. And I might decide that that's nice, but it's a bit small. So I can just double click on it. I can change the text styling, maybe to a heading. I've got the options of aligning it however I want, making it bold if I want to, making it italic if I want to, taking the formatting off, and even hyperlinking it at any point. Or I can say I want to go a little bit bigger and say welcome to Short and Sweet that way. If I don't want this as white, I can click on the little artist palette over here and decide on some other colors. So I'm going to have the blue and then the text comes through as black. All right, so now we've got this header pretty much there for our site, and we want to include some more information. So what we might want to do is Ben and I might want to work on this together. So now I've got a site. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share it with Ben. Ben, I don't expect you to do anything while you're also working on the background there, okay?
No worries.
So I just share it with Ben with a message. Hey, Ben, let's collaborate on this. And I can just share it with him, and he's got editor's rights, okay? And he will get exactly the same view as I have. And then we can start to include information. So what I would really like is to make sure things go in the right place. So I'm going to add a placeholder, okay? So just down the right-hand side here, we've got the option to add a placeholder, and it just puts this here. If I click on it, it gives me an option of what to add. So I could add an uploaded image, select an image, bring something in from Drive, YouTube, calendar, or even a map. But I'm just going to leave it blank. And underneath it, I'm just going to click and add some text to say add profile, please, Ben. And obviously we can change that text once he's done that, because this isn't live as a website yet. Ben's just going to put his profile picture in there. And then I might say I want some text in here from Ben as well. So I can shorten that down, and I can say here, short bio. And I could make it obvious that I wanted to use all of that space by just entering. I can then add another placeholder for myself. It automatically drops underneath, but all I've got to do is click on it and drag it. And wherever the blueness appears is where it's going to go. So that's where mine's going to be. So I'm just going to click under here, and then I'm going to say sweet photo. Obviously, shorts on the other side. Okay, and up here, double click. Oh, and sometimes it goes in the wrong place. You just click it and drag it in here. Tweet bio. Okay, so that we've got a really short introduction to us on this front page here. And all we've got to do is say, okay, I'm wanting to add something in here. I click on the plus button. I know I've got something on my computer, so I'm going to go upload. I'm going to go to my desktop, go to my folder, and I'm going to find my screenshot and just add it in. And there we go. And then I can add some bio underneath there, and we can just change this, for example, to at Ranger the trainer. But if I wanted to, I could hyperlink it as well. So I can make it a link and actually do that as twitter.com/Ranger the trainer. And that then becomes a clickable link as well on that homepage that will take you directly to Twitter when it's published. Okay, so we've already got some pictorial content in there. We can add some text in there. So we could say, for example, sweet is Darren. He's the good-looking one of the two.
All right.
He doesn't drive a bus, which is an in-joke between myself and Ben. If you're not aware, Ben does love to drive a bus. Okay. Now, I don't like that sweet bio there being only little, so I can change just that to make it bigger, but then it's too big. So I can just choose one that's appropriate, and we can get a nice uniform style going on there. Okay. And Ben could do exactly the same as we're working on it. If we want to see what our website's going to look like on the different devices, we can go up to the preview. And here we've got, this is what it looks like on a large screen. And if we click here, this is what it would look like on a tablet. And it's, you know, it's dynamic. You can click on it and have a look. And this is what it would look like on a phone as well. So you can preview what your site's going to look like on different devices anytime you like, and then just click on the cross to come out of there. But at the moment, this isn't published at all. Okay. So that's really important from that point of view. So we've got some text in, we've got some pictures in. We might want to add something else. So we've got down here lots of different options down the right-hand side. We've got different layouts for our pages. So we can have columns, we can have pictures, we can have kind of rows. We can add collapsible text, tables of contents. We can have an image carousel rolling through. We can have a button, a divider. So we might choose to add a divider at this point. So we've got our introduction there. We might pop a divider in, which just puts that nice little line in there to make it separate. We could decide then to add some collapsible text. So we could call this, for example, find out more about us. And in here, we could put some further text, okay? But because it's collapsible, it just disappears behind that, and it only shows if you click on it to reveal it. So it stops your home page of your website or any other page coming to that becoming too busy and too cluttered. So it helps you give that professional look to your website, okay? It also means that it's easier to find things because people aren't searching through tons and tons of words. All right?
Yeah.
So we've looked at those.
Sorry, we just had a few questions. I thought I'd just try and ask you whilst we're going through, so we don't lose them. Had one from Rachel asking if the placeholders are a new feature in Google Sites, or they've been there for a while.
I think they're relatively new. I must admit, I didn't notice when they arrived. I just suddenly realised they were there, but I can't remember when it was. But certainly, they didn't used to be there. I used to put in a blank shape as a placeholder, and obviously people have submitted feedback, and now they're there, so you can just put them in, and you can resize them. You know, I just put them in as that standard size, but if I drag another one in, right, you can resize those and say, right, well, I'd like a placeholder that's, you know, that sort of size. So you can play around with it. You know, you can shorten it up. It doesn't have to be the standard size that automatically gets thrown in there, and you can edit the placeholder, so you can set the file type so people can't get it wrong. So you can say that it will only accept, for example, an image. So if you want an image in there and someone tries to put in a doc, it's not going to accept it. So that's quite useful as well.
That's pretty good. I didn't even know that. So that's really good.
Yep.
And just a quick two here. One from Stephanie asking if we can make a cursor smaller. I'm not entirely sure.
I think someone's being a little bit sarcastic there, because I've got a nice big extra large cursor today, just because there was some feedback on a previous event I was involved in where people said the cursor was too small, so I made it larger. Okay. And you can do that using custom cursor, which is an extension. It's really good. You can choose. I've got a Lego hand on my other one, which is also nice. So it's entirely up to you. Okay. Let me just delete that out of there for the moment. Is there any other questions, Ben, before we go any further?
The only other one I can see at the moment is from Fred asking whether that affects screen readers, i.e. accessibility. I think that's a tag comment about the cursor. So I don't know if it's necessarily a question, but it's I think it's a tag onto Steph's comment there.
Yeah, but very good point, actually. To be honest with you, I don't know how different aspects of the new sites do affect screen readers, because I don't really use them. I don't know how it copes with things like the collapsible text if you don't open it up, for example. So that might be one of those things that is worth trying and seeing what happens. Okay?
Definitely.
So the other thing we can do is obviously we can add a button. Buttons are really useful because they're a tidy way of adding a link. So I'm just going to click add a button here, and I'm going to give it a name. I'm going to call it YouTube. And I want the link for our YouTube channel to go in there. So I'm just going to go and get that from my other account. There we go. Let's just go back to there. Bear with me a second. Here we go. So I'm just going to grab that link, drop it in there, and insert. And it always puts your buttons at the bottom. Okay, buttons at the bottom, easy to remember. Okay, particularly if you're used to wearing baby grows. But you can then do whatever you like with them. Okay, so you can stretch them larger. You can have that go right across your page if you want as a button, or you can have it shorter. You can stack buttons down the side as a column. You can put them on top of each other. And if you change the styling, you can get different looks as well. So if you go to the blue background, you get a white button. Go white background, you get a blue button, and that just now becomes a clickable link to our YouTube. Equally, you could make it a contact us button, or you could take it to a second website, or anything you wanted to, really. And you can link it to resources as well. Okay. And then the other thing which I really like is you can add in as well calendars, maps, hyperlinks to groups, and anything else you want to do. So if you wanted to say, for example, roughly where we are, we could say, let's add in a map. You can add in a My Map if you'd like to, or you can just choose a location. So I'm going to choose our school location, where Ben and I both work. There we go. It's not a primary school. It's more sort of, well, there, isn't it?
Yeah, about there, yeah.
Right. That's it. And you can add that into your site as well. So that's, well, that didn't move, did it? Helpful. But then that becomes clickable. You can choose the view of your site and everything else. So if you pop it out, you can decide what kind of background you want on it. You can drop your pin anywhere you like. And you can send people directions from that, and they can get directions from it as well if you want people to come and visit you. And again, you can resize. So you don't have to have it as a massive great thing. It can just sit in there with contact details and everything else alongside it. Okay, so there's our home page. What we want to do now is add extra pages. And that's really tricky as well, because what you have to do, if you want to add an extra page, you have to remember to go to Pages. And then if you go to Pages and you want to add a page, there's an Add button. But there's two parts to this, and this is what I like about it, okay? You can add a blank page really easily, but you can also add a link to a page which isn't part of your site, and it still becomes a hyperlink. So again, if I wanted to link to our YouTube, I can click New Link. I can put the hyperlink in for our YouTube, call it Short and Sweet YouTube channel or channel, and then just click done, and it adds a link you can see into the navigation bar there. So that's the home page, and then that takes us to our YouTube channel, just as simply as that. Okay, so we've got a second page in there without actually having a page on our website that we've got to maintain. It's taking us to another one, because it opens it up in a new tab. You can come back at any point. And now we've got more than one there. We can really see how that navigation starts to look different if we change from top to side. And it moves from up the top there to down the left-hand side here. And again, that's personal preference, whichever you prefer. You just click there, and you can change that at any point and actually say, do you know what? I like it along the top, but I think I prefer the black one. So there we go. Okay, short and sweet, home, YouTube channel. Let's add another normal page. So we add a page. We can call it whatever we like. So we might call it resources. It gives us a blank page. It's got a resources heading on it. We can change that image if we want. We can get rid of an image altogether and just have the title, resources, or we can add a banner or a large banner or a whole cover photo. It's entirely up to us. I'm going to get rid just for this situation. If we don't like the order those are in, we can just click and drag them and move them around. So we can move pages around so that they're in a different order. And if we want to add resources now, really, really simply, I could go back to insert, and I could go and find a slideshow, go and find a doc, go and find a sheet, go and find a form, and so on. Or I can just click here. Or I can click here. So if I wanted to include a particular file, I might choose that I want to include, in this case, something from Drive. It opens up my Google Drive. And I might want to choose, for example, something to do with short and sweet. See what it finds. So I can search the whole of my drive to find useful information. And there's lots of bits and pieces there. But I think I'm going to include, actually, I'm going to include a bit of a plug for something else that we're getting involved with later on, which is the EdTech Smackdown version 2 coming later on in the coming months. So we can add that in. And because it's a slideshow, we've got the option as well to click on the settings and decide whether we want it to loop or not, if we're the owner, whether we want it to auto start, keep going, how long we want the slides to delay for, and what the starting slide wants to be. And that will keep scrolling on our website just like a video. So it just sits there ready for us, really simply. I can also add a Google Doc if I want, and it might be that I've got the URL this time. So it could be that I want to add our dance party into there. So I might this time click the URL, do Command C there, and then come back to my site, double click on the embed link, and just enter the URL. And it's going to do the same, and it automatically sizes in accordance with the other things that are on the page. And again, I can decide whether I want sound on or off, whether I want it to play automatically, or whether I want to leave people to play it. It's entirely up to them. I can add docs, I can add sheets, I can add anything I like. So I could add our schedule, I could add a table, I can add anything at all. I can add a YouTube video directly, or I can upload something as well. So I can go here and I can say, do you know what? I'm going to upload the bat signal, which is what our good friend Georgina uses whenever she needs help. She sets that up in the sky and we all come running. Okay, so the bat signal there could be the contact us page, for example. And you can hyperlink that. There's nothing to stop you. You can click on that image. There we go. Toxic. Look at that. Everyone remembers Leslie.
Now, for the thousands in attendance.
There we go. Okay, and because it's playing automatically there, all of that's going to come through. So I might decide I don't like that after all. And I want to come back to it, and I don't want it to auto start. I want people to decide whether they want to play it. But come back here, I can easily hyperlink to a contact us form or anything we like. if we want to, or even a help page or something like that if somebody's a little bit stuck. We can also size up our images as well. So if we don't want that whole thing, we can kind of move them around a little bit and decide that that's the sort of size we want. And we can play with that, and we can crop, and we can also uncrop really easily as well. And we've also got options here, just like we used to in slides, to be able to replace and add alternative text as well for screen readers. So in here, we could add alternative text, which is a call for help, for example. This is a decorative image. It's not actually, so we do want it as a call for help. And that might be something that people click on to then get advice. Okay, we can add a caption underneath that picture as well. If you need help, just send up the bat signal, for example. And that's all people need to do. Now, obviously, we're having a little bit of fun with this, but you could do whatever you like with students. Or so if this is going out to a class, you know your students well. You can have your own little kind of bitmojis in there. You can have anything you like that kind of make things a little bit more engaging for the students. You could even have your classroom theme as being the background of the website. And actually, they might click on the teacher's desk, for example, to be able to then go and get some help. So you can do all sorts of different things with this really, really easily. And like we said, add in a calendar. Now, that could be a calendar from Google Classroom, so they can see all of their deadlines. Lots of different options that we can use. Okay. Any more questions, Ben?
No, everything that's looking good at the moment.
Okay, cool. So the next thing we want to do is think about how we're going to publish. Okay. And that's really important, because publishing your website, the first time you do it, is a bit scary, because you're never 100% sure when you do it the first time exactly what's going to happen. So you can see at the moment, this is shared with Ben as an editor, and that's it. If I click down the bottom here, at the moment it's in draft form and it's restricted, and it will be published only to my domain. Okay. You have a choice. You can change that if you want. You can have it restricted to just people you share it with. So, for example, if you share it with a Google group, then only people within that group will be able to access it. If you share it with a class, only a class will be able to access it. If you make it public, obviously anybody can. But I use an unpublished one, restricted one, with my students as a kind of revision resources site as well. So you can choose whether it's restricted or open to just your domain or public. And when you then decide what you're going to do with that, you can make it anyone with the link can edit if you want, but we don't want that. So we're going to make restricted editing. At the public site, anyone can view. That's absolutely fine. But if you don't want that, say, for example, you wanted only certain people to access it, you could lock it down to your domain or restricted. And I'll explain why that's important in a second, because I'll show you some other examples. Okay. So we can just click done there. There we go. Yep. Yeah, it did work. Brilliant. Okay. And then we go to publish. Okay. So it's going to give me the web address is going to be short and sweet. I can view, I can manage again who can view my site. So it gives me another option to look at that. And I have a choice whether public search engines display my site or not. Okay, so I'm going to say I don't want them to display my site just for the moment. And then I click publish. And that becomes a published site then. Okay, and your site has been successfully published. And you've got the option down the bottom here to view. So this is the public facing side of the site that gives us here our homepage, our resources, and our YouTube channel. And obviously this is the public version, but I'm still able to go into the back end, if you like, and change things. So for example, our resources page isn't ready. I'm not happy that we want to share that. So I can come to the three dots over here. Okay. And I can just say that I want to hide that from navigation at the moment. And if I hide that from navigation, It's not available to click on, so people won't be able to access it unless I've linked it somewhere else. And if I'm then happy that we're ready and our content's up to standard, then I can just choose to show it again at any point. Okay, so that's a really useful little tool in terms of being able to decide whether people can see things, particularly if you're developing something new. Okay, anytime you change something now, you also have a version history and you have a chance to double check things. So for example, if I was to delete that out of here now, I would need to publish again. So if I republish, it shows me the changes now. So this is what's currently published, and we can see that's what's on the page. And this is what I'm now proposing to publish, and we can see that that short and sweet video isn't there anymore. So I can decide if I'm happy with that. And if there's been more than one change, it lists all of them down the side here. So you can check them all before you're happy to publish, and then click publish, okay? And you can also review changes at any point. So I'm going to click publish on that. Okay, all changes have been saved in the drive. And now I can open a version history, the same as I can with docs and sheets and slides and everything else. So we've got our version history that we can come back to, and we can name it the same as we can with a doc or a slide. So I might call this one live show part 2, for example. And I know then that this version is that stage we were at. If I wanted to bring it back at any point, I can bring it back. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier about the difference in publishing, and I think it's really important from a point of view of those people that moved across from classic sites, which used to have page level permissions, where you could set who could access what page. And that's not an option in new sites currently, but there is a way around that. So I'm going to take you to our school website. And I'm going to access our school website by spelling it correctly, which would help. There we go. So I'm going to take you to one of the school websites. So this is just a normal public view. I'm not a member of staff. We can see we've got all of our drop downs and things here along the top with our menu. We can see we've got here an image. Here we've got a video that's been embedded from YouTube. We've got some hyperlink text. We've got some images. These are all images which are buttons. So there's a parent's guide to classroom. There's a link to the revision pages, how to reset your password and things like that. Then we've got the collapsible text. So letters to parents. Here we've got a button with our new timetable arrangements, as well as right at the top here, you've got the revised summer timetable at the moment. Click here to view. Some various other links, some buttons through to other pages. Our latest news, which is, in this case, is a Google Doc. My other school will use a Google slide, and we just update that. And that means that staff in the school can update the website homepage without actually having to touch the website homepage, because this is just a Google Doc that they update, and it automatically shows on the front page. And no other school will use a slide and it automatically pushes through. It's really, really, really easy to do. And it means people who are scared of touching the website don't have to worry, they're not going to break it. As long as they can use a doc or a slide, you're absolutely fine. Okay? And then we've embedded our Twitter feed in there. We've got what week it is. We've got a link to Google Classroom. And then right down the bottom here, we've got some more buttons. And here we've got a button that says staff area. If I click on that, it says it's not found. And that's purely because that staff area isn't accessible to anybody who's not in the New Rickstone staff Google group. So if you're not a member of that Google group, you cannot access that staff area. If you are a member of that Google group, you can access that. And within it, we've got lots of resources, like all the phone numbers to ring, all of the forms you might need, our teaching and learning resources, our video guides, all those kind of things, links to our reporting procedures that only staff can access. Students and parents and members of the public can't access it at all. And it's essentially a second Google site that's just linked via this button, but the second Google site is only published with that one Google group. So it's perfectly possible to do page level permissions that way as a bit of a way round it. Okay. And if I just very quickly show you my other account, I will show you an example as well of one that I use with my students. So I'm going to sign in quickly. Typical, it always signs me out just as I'm going to go in and use it. So I'm just going to drop in here. And this is my website, which I publish with my students. So a Spanish website, so you've got a home page, work for year 7 and year 8 in GCSE down the left-hand.
Yeah. Is it just me? Oh man. Hang on. Something ain't right here.
Hello?
I thought it was my connection that had dropped. As you dropped
No,
out.
it was me. My Mac decided to restart. That was interesting.
Oh well, I've just been sitting on the screen, sitting silent because I thought it was my connection that had dropped.
Brilliant.
Sorry.
Fantastic. Absolutely
Oh dear.
superb. Yeah, no, my Mac decided that was a good time to restart for some reason. Okay, where was I? I was just going to show us one of my websites, wasn't I? That was it.
Oh,
So,
dear.
let me just share my screen again. Here we go. All good fun, isn't it, eh?
That's both of us tonight. as well.
Okay. Here we go. You what, sorry?
I think that's both of us that have dropped out
So
tonight now.
this is one that I use with my students, and it's got, as I was saying, year 7, year 8 GCSE down the side. There's hints and tips as well, but we've embedded various bits and pieces like the rules of the classroom, links to key vocabulary. But what I've also got in here, which is quite nice, I've got things like takeaway homeworks, like choice boards that they can use. And then I've got some, that will just load, the old classic coronavirus thermometer there. What stage are we at? And then we've also got in here, I've got some Google quizzes that are self-marking that are linked for them, just for some recap. And I've added in a couple of digital escape rooms for them to try as well, if they want to give those a go. So they can only answer with certain correct answers. There's links to things like Seneca Learning for revision. I've got another page which is all useful links, which I think in this day and age I would actually do as a weight clip, but I wasn't a Wakelet user at that point, so I linked things like Google Earth and Writing Maths and BBC Mundo for World Spanish. I then also linked in a YouTube playlist for the Spanish most popular sort of top 40, and that automatically updates all the time. So they can go in and they can listen to the top 40 in Spain and find out about the music. And I've also got in here a link to various videos as well that they can watch, as well as things like Mi Vida Loca. And I've also got a link to La Liga as well, just from the point of view of the boys' side of things, because they kept moaning, there's nothing boyish there. So just an example of how you can use it just with your class. And every year I just reset it. So we've got things like examples of work in there. We've got useful resources they can access. But year 7 and 8 as well have got what kind of things we're going to be learning, and they know exactly what's coming up because they can kind of tick off the list as they're going through and see exactly what it is that they're supposed to be doing. So that's what I do with students as well. Okay. Any other questions other than why was Ben sitting still for so long?
We have got a good one from G Aman actually a
Yeah.
bit earlier on. Going back to the calendars, so they've asked if a student's Google Classroom calendar has been posted on the site,
Mhm.
but the Google site is published inside the school domain. Does that mean other students that are not in that Google Classroom can still see the calendar? So,
That's a really good question.
yeah, that's not one I know, to be honest. I've never tried it.
No, that is a really good question. We'll have to find that one out.
Yeah, we'll have to get back to G Aman on that one, I think.
Yeah, I would imagine it wouldn't let them see it, but it's worth a try. But certainly we can have a look at that and feedback maybe next week.
Yeah, definitely.
Is anything more from Cora the Corgi, or is she happy at the moment?
Cora Corgi's just she's bumbling her way through.
Brilliant. Oh, Luke Tyler's joined us. Hi, evening, Luke. Well done on getting your uni assignments done.
Yeah, congratulations, Luke.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Becky's just saying they can't see it. Absolutely. So it is only the members of the classroom that can see the calendar. There you go. I've not got as far as trying that out. But as you can see, there's a whole wealth of things you can do with Google Sites. And one of the things I've done fairly regularly is actually build extra sites. So if I go back to my other account, you will see how many sites I've got. I'll just there we go. I'll go into my Google Sites here. Oh look, it's not 0. That's disappointing. If I go to my Google Sites, oops, it moved. That's not Google Sites. Go back again. If I go to my Google Sites, there we go. You can see that I've got several up and running in the classics, but I've moved over to new recently, and I've got quite a lot running. So I've done escape rooms on there. We've got an art exhibition that we're currently putting together. We've got a sixth form website, but we've also got other bits and pieces as well. So, for example, we did last year a particular event called Activities Week at one of my schools, where the whole timetable was disbanded effectively, and we did a whole range of different activities. There was so much information for people to take in, we put it all into a website. So everything was here. The timetable for the day was all on the front page. And then there was a whole list of all of the different things that were going on each day. So everybody knew where everyone was going to be. Everyone had the overall plans access, and nobody had to go, well, where was this? Where was that? We just said, go to the website, and everything you need to know about that event is on there. So if you are running things like, foreign trips, build a site for the trip. And when you come back, you can put the photos and that into the site as well. So loads and loads of different things you can do. Okay.
Brilliant. That's I've learned a lot from that tonight, Darren. Myself, I'm not a great sites user myself, so I've learned a lot from that this evening, and I'm sure a lot of other people have as well. There's been some great comments going through. People going to go back through and make a list of all the top tips that we've been putting in the chat. And we've had, it looks like we've inspired some people to go and create their own sites here in the comments as well. What it's all about.
And the only thing to bear in mind really is like anything. If you are going to make your site public, if you are embedding documents and things like that, obviously you need to make sure that those documents are also public if you want people to be able to see them. So the easiest way to do that, if you're not sure if something is visible to just anyone who's not logged in, just open up an incognito window and you pop the link in there. And if you can see it in an incognito window, you embed that in your website, then everyone's going to be able to see it. Okay. I'm looking forward to seeing what Cora comes up with, actually. I think she's going to come up with some exciting websites.
Yeah,
okay?
Cora.
But like I said, the easiest thing to do as well is if you are going to put things on your website and you know you want it all to be published, is have one folder in your drive that you keep all of your website stuff in, and then make sure that that is set to anyone with a link can view, and then you won't have any problems with access on the website. Okay.
Brilliant.
But
Definitely.
if you do want to update something, of course, you can change the permissions on that document at any point so that people can't view it while you update, and then just turn it back on again afterwards, because it is updating live. Okay.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Well, I think that just leaves us for the last few bits, doesn't it, Darren? I think there might be something that we need to tell people.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, there was news, wasn't there, that potentially there might be some bonus points on offer for something.
Yeah, I think it was the Global GG Boot Camp, I think.
Oh, is that tomorrow?
Oh yeah, that's it. Tomorrow, 2 o'clock standard time. That's it.
Brilliant. I really must plan some slides and things for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, yeah, absolutely. We have got some spare points available for anybody who's taking part in the Global GG Bootcamp and wants to get themselves some extra points. So the keyword you'll be looking for is there. Sight for sore eyes. Hey, clever, right?
I like that. I can't take any.
That.
It was good.
Sight for sore eyes, absolutely brilliant. So if you are part of the boot camp and you want to get yourself some extra points, I'm not going to tell you what to do because you should know by now. Okay, I'm having a bit of tough love with this one. All right, but there are lots of extra points available. Okay, so I think that's all from us, really, isn't it? Next week we're going to have a look at what are we going to look at next week, Ben?
I think we're going to look at book creator, Darren. I think that's what we're.
Yeah, no, I've heard that's quite good, actually.
Yeah,
I'll do a little bit of work around that.
I don't know who's
so
written loads of books about it. I'm not sure, but
I know someone who's written a couple. Yeah, okay. So next week we're going to have a look at book creator, and then probably the following week Ben's going to take us through Flipgrid. So that's the next couple of sessions for us. If you are joining us tomorrow at the Global Bootcamp, look forward to seeing you. And if you're not, hopefully we'll see some of you around and about on social media and things like that between now and next week. But for now, thanks for joining us. Take care, everybody.
see you later. Stay safe, and thanks for joining.